business, and the left is going nuts. So weeks after pledging to never again lock down a state, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced today the lifting of all COVID restrictions on businesses. And as President Trump remarked tonight, this stands in direct conflict to the draconian lockdowns implemented by blue state governors.
In Dem states, like where you have a governor who's a Democrat, you're not allowed to go to church, you're not allowed to go to a restaurant, you're not allowed to go to your friend's house, you can't move from your house unless you're related to the governor, then you can do whatever the hell you want.
Governor DeSantis, the man on the side of safety and freedom for his citizens, joins us now. Governor, thank you for being with us tonight. Now, after you made your announcement, I know you probably missed this, you were a little busy, but CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta had this to say.
The idea of reopening when we're nowhere near containment, there's just way too much viral transmission. Governor DeSantis has gone through this before. You saw what happened when they had that big spike. That's when they reopened. That's obviously a concern. But inside restaurants with full capacity, there is no mask mandate, there's no fine. These are all the wrong sort of decisions as far as actually trying to bring this pandemic under control.
Governor, you're going to get a lot of this, but they're waving the caution flag, the danger flag, the warning flag tonight about your decision. Why are you right and why are they wrong?
Well, I think a lot of them are ignorant about Florida. I mean, we never closed down over the summer. He was talking about the Sunbelt spike. We actually had, of course, beaches, theme parks, retail operating at 100%. We had sports and summer camps over the summer. We have over 1.1 million students in face-to-face instruction for K through 12. We have college students that are on campus. We've had big events such as NFL with fans, college football with fans. We had a NASCAR race with 30,000 people. So we've been open. The final kind of piece to the puzzle was this capacity limitation on the restaurants at 50%. And so that was the announcement today kind of brought that in for a landing. And a lot of those folks in that industry have had a really, really rough time. They've learned a lot about how to create a safe environment. I think that they'll be able to do that going forward. So I think it'll end up being good for jobs. I think it'll end up being good for their business. And I also think, Laura, we have to have a situation where individuals can make decisions about what makes sense for them. And if that's something you're not comfortable doing, no one's going to force you to do it. But I do think that people need to be free to choose.
Now, Governor, this is something that Joe Biden said this week on the trail about, quote, national standards.
The president has to take control, has to take responsibility, set national standards, making sure we're in a position where the president lays out standards for opening schools, opening businesses.
Well, that ends up being code for national mask mandates and rolling lockdowns, which frankly Americans, I think, are just sick and tired of. They're beyond this. And in fact, Governor, a guest we had on last night was arrested earlier this week for not wearing a mask outside. Watch.
I should not be doing this and doing this kind of crap for the mayor. This is embarrassing.
Governor, these look like scenes out of Russia. A man singing a hymn with others, a woman sitting at a sports event. What's going on here? What is this really all about?
Well, I'll tell you, Laura, in Florida, we did any of that, but in other states, you would see churches be banned, but you could go to a casino, basic rights deprived, and it was oftentimes on a political basis. I am worried, though, about this. I mean, Joe Biden has said he will lock down the country if a scientist tells him to do it. I had a great roundtable. It's on my Twitter and Facebook with three very eminent scientists yesterday talking about all these issues. Dr. Martin Kaldor from Harvard Medical and Jay Bhattacharya and Michael Levitt from Stanford Medical. And I asked, should lockdowns be off the table? And they all said unequivocally, yes, lockdowns should be off the table. At best, what they do is just delay infections. They do not reduce mortality, but they cause catastrophic damage. And so that should be off the table in this country going forward. We need our society to function because, COVID-19 is one health issue. There's a whole host of other health issues out there that get exacerbated when you have society on its knees.
I want to talk about the state of Florida and the presidential race, Governor DeSantis, given how close it was last time around. The president has expressed his extreme concern with mail-in voting, not absentee voting, which is very popular in your state, but with mail-in voting. How do you think things stand now in your state, given where the polls are and given where you think the people are after this very difficult year?
Well, just to be clear, we don't have mass mail voting in Florida. What we have, as you mentioned, is mail voting on request, absentee voting. So voters can request it, they will get sent a ballot, and then they can send it in. It's tried, true, and safe. So if people want to vote that way, they should absolutely do it. But we are not indiscriminately sending out ballots all over the state of Florida. That doesn't work. And you also have to have sent in the ballot by Election Day at 7 p.m. There's not going to be a situation where ballots are just showing up a week after the election. I think that's very chaotic. Look, I think he's in good shape. It's always tough here. It's never an easy race. But if you look in 2016, he did really poorly in Miami-Dade County, still won the state. He's doing a lot better in Miami-Dade. He's got really strong support from Hispanics. I think he'll win Hispanics in Miami-Dade County. And if he holds the support elsewhere, I think he's definitely going to be in good shape. Biden has really not done much in Florida. We have a ground game. We're registering voters, going door to door. Their campaign hasn't wanted to do that because of the pandemic. When Trump won in 2016, we had a 340,000 vote deficit with Democrats for registration. We've now shrunk that to under 190,000. That's as close as we've ever been, probably in modern history, in terms of registration. I think that bodes well for us.
Are you worried about Michael Bloomberg's efforts to pay the penalties, the fines of former felons who would then get the right to vote if their fines were paid?
Well, our Attorney General is investigating that. It's a situation where he's doing it, he's discriminating on the basis of race. He's only paying off if you're a certain race. And basically, I think someone in his organization said, yeah, because we think they'll vote for the candidate we want. And under Florida law, that very well may run afoul of that. So we'll have to see, but it is being investigated, and it may be investigated federally, but it certainly is investigated by the state Attorney General in the state of Florida.
And Governor, just one more time, I'm going to ask one more question. Will you ever consider locking down your state, large parts of your state, as the governor of New York? I guess they're now considering it in New York City today, we learn, because of some outbreaks. You will never do that in your state.
0% chance of that.
Okay, Governor, thank you so much. Great to see you tonight. And the other breaking news tonight, Fox News has confirmed that tomorrow afternoon, President Trump will nominate 7th Circuit Judge Amy Coney Barrett to replace the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. Now, President Trump didn't let anything slip during his speech tonight, but he did talk about the importance of the court.
They say the biggest thing you can do is the appointment of judges, but especially the appointment of Supreme Court justices. That's the single biggest thing a president can do. Because it sets the tone of the country for 40 years, 50 years, a long time.
Joining me now is Kim Strassel, Wall Street Journal editorial board member, and Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist, both Fox News contributors. Molly, you wrote the book, along with Carrie Severino, on the ugliness that was deployed by the Democrats and the media during Kavanaugh.
From a more liberal to a more conservative justice. And so by all that we know historically, this should be apocalyptic. But I do wonder if, because of who Amy Coney Barrett is, not just as a woman, as a mother of 7, but also that she just has a really good reputation among her friends and colleagues at Notre Dame and on the court, whether it will be more difficult for the left to engage in the type of smear operation that they did against Kavanaugh. I think it takes a lot of courage for anybody to be willing to be nominated to the Supreme Court after what happened to Brett Kavanaugh and how people in the media and other partisans tried to destroy his life and his reputation and his family. It takes a lot of courage for someone to do this, and I think it's really remarkable to what we're about to experience here.
I completely agree with you, and I look forward to hearing from her. Now, the New York Times, I think it's Maggie Haberman, had a interesting reaction to Trump picking Barrett.
We are dealing with a president who sometimes likes to change things up, but Amy Coney Barrett has been who we have been hearing for many, many days. She does please the base. Whenever the president has a choice, he tends to burrow into his white and largely male base of voters, and that is what he's doing here.
Kim, I just want to start laughing. I mean, did the president pick Amy Coney Barrett for the white male vote? Okay, I've heard a lot of really ridiculous things, but that's right at the top of the list.
Look, there are so many things to like about this nominee, and that will transcend, believe me, the white male vote. First of all, her jurisprudence speaks for itself. She's smart, she's a textualist, she's consistent. Go and look at it. Secondly, she's been through this process. She handled it with amazing aplomb and grace. She's been through the process, and that's going to help her a lot this time. And third, as you mentioned, how cool is it to get a working mom on the Supreme Court? And by the way, a working mom of 7 kids. This woman is going to be something to reckon with as she goes through this. And I hope Democrats learn something from the Kavanaugh experience, because I keep reminding people 4 of them lost their seats in contested states after they voted no.
Excellent point. If you can handle 7 kids, I bet you can handle pretty much anything. Molly, Kim, stay right there, because when we return, we're going to expose the latest faux outrage from the left and how it relates to the shocking new revelations about the FBI and the Russia hoax. Don't go away.